Ladies and gentlemen, yours sincerely is back on the air to give you reports about how things are going since I moved to Cleveland. Would I call it the attic because of the cold? Very similar. The cold, if you go out unprotected, I'm sure that in 2 minutes you will be knocking on those gates. For the people that believe that there is a gate you would cross when you move on. I've repeatedly asked myself the question, why did I have to come to this part of the world? The United States and Cleveland, knowing where I started off from, where we have 12 months of summer. But since yesterday, some of the reasons why I came began to get clearer and clearer. To receive me and my son at the airport was a kinsman of the great Chinua Achebe, Nze Charleston Okafor, reggae musician, mathematics teacher. I repeat, reggae musician, mathematics teacher, to receive us at the airport. And by the way, in order for me not to forget, one of the cantors of Omega and the Defenders. What I mean by cantor is that he reads the Bible for us at all our Shabbat services. To assisting him in this task is our sister, a Haitian American of Igbo extraction, Sabrina Shmon Samedi. Charleston received us at the airport and accommodated us in his house and showed what Igbos did, and we are called Odogu. American apartments are not always as big as some of the apartments we have in Igbo land and Nigeria. But this man accommodated us, was ready to even sleep on his couch for us to sleep on the bed. This is what Igbos do, and they are called Odogu. This was what our fathers did, and our community was strong. I became aware of myself in Lagos, not in Igbo land, in the late parts of the 70s. My father was the chairman of Ozobu Development Union. A young man then appeared in Lagos, came to the meeting of our people and declared that he was in Lagos to attend the law school. My father was by then a lowly civil servant at the Nigerian Post Authority. After he had finished talking, my father volunteered my son every month come to my house and take £1, 10 shillings. For this 1 year you are going to spend in Lagos. I believe that part of why this guy I was seeing only for the first time when we arrived in Cleveland received us the way he did. 3 reasons. 1, he's of the old school. He's of that kind of Igbo. He's that kind of Igbo that existed at the kind of Michael Okpara. Those ones that built the fastest growing economy in the world. The remnants of who survived genocide without assistance from anybody. That is primarily the reason why he received us the way he did. Another reason is probably the good my father did also counted. But if you don't tell these stories, how would we know that the Igbo who is Odogu is not the one who drinks expensive wines, wears long, embarrassing robes and dances, embarrasses himself with dancing on Facebook, or shows videos and records himself throwing bundles of money around? That's not the Odogu. The Odogu is the Igbo that behaved the way Charleston behaved. That heard, these are Igbos. They are coming into my city. And he said, you are not going to stay in hotels. As long as I have a roof over my head, that roof shall be your roof. What I eat shall be your food. Brother and sister Igbos, this is what we are going to do to restore our nation. This is what every Igbo is going to do. Every Igbo is going to go back to these old values which Omenana gave us. When people like myself emphasize that Igbos must return to authentic Israelite biblical Omenana to survive, I do not say this word slightly, because I know that it is in authentic Israelite biblical Omenana that Igbos will find the kind of things I'm talking about preached. It is authentic Israelite biblical Omenana will tell you, you are Igbo, your first responsibility is to your fellow Igbo. Charleston came from good stock, so he inherited what he eventually began to find in an authentic Israelite biblical Omenana. He inherited it from his background. As I told you, he is a kind of nephew to the great Chinua Achebe. You know, Chinua Achebe was a man of culture. Leaving Charleston's story briefly, two very great things again happened. I began to interact with an old friend and brother because all Igbos are brothers. So to call him friend because he came from Akwese while I came from Ozobo is a misnomer. We are one. All Igbos are one. And I made available 4 copies of Hebrew Igbo Republics, the Igbos and Israel, an intercultural study of the largest Israelite diaspora, our book on Osu, and our book on one other subject. After this man had read it, he said, there is a solution to the Igbo problem, but Igbos have to be drawn to it. This is a good one, because for an Igbo to sit down, for an Igbo to ignore the content creators that are showing Igbos dancing with money and decide to read books is a good one for us. Then, very recently, another good one, I began to interact with a younger Igbo, a lecturer at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, ready to explore. He did not jump at me to say that Igbos have existed for 1 million years, because he allowed himself to be. He allowed whatever education that we are exposed to in Nigeria to help him to think. And we have a man in such a critical position willing to look at something that culture, DNA, every aspect of study has proved. And ladies and gentlemen, I do not emphasize that Igbos came from Israel so that the state of Israel will give Igbos anything. The state of Israel has less than 10 million people. The Jewish community is about 16 million. Igbos are, if you count the African Americans and Caribbeans that came from Igbo stock, they are at least 80 million. We should be in a position to help the Jewish people financially and otherwise. So I do not emphasize that the Igbos came from Israel so that Israel will help us in any way. I emphasize and dwell on it so that Igbos will survive. The Jewish people survived because they were not cut off from the Israelite heritage. The Igbos will only survive when they are reconnected to their Israelite heritage, so that if they have problems, they will examine how Abraham solved the problem. That is why I staked my life. That is why I've dedicated my life to proving it beyond doubt. My latest effort demonstrated impeccably that you cannot even understand the Hebrew Bible completely unless you know the Igbo language. Argue with this. So, these three issues I reported give me hope that this nation will rise again. This nation that the world needs to become further stabilized. There is hope for this nation. And we are going to work. We are going to continue working until the good Lord Chuku says, my children, earn some rest. Have a beautiful week. And if you are in Cleveland, remember to cover yourself. If you are where we were born, be very careful. The future is bright. Thank you.